What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast episode number 90. I'm your host, Kevin, aka The Muffin Mon, and I am joined by the future of esports himself. Oh, no, I'm not. Amon's not here.
Say I ain't the future of esports.
We have Mr. Physical Copy himself. Ethan, how are you doing, buddy?
Hello, Kevin. I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about some video games today.
And we're also joined by a very special guest. We have the creator of the N64Josh YouTube and Twitch channels. He is a panel member over on the Xbox Factor podcast, on friend of the show, Mr. Boomstick's channel, and the man with over 60,000 TikTok followers, a fellow lover of Smash Brothers. Welcome, N64Josh, to the panel. How are you doing, Josh?
What is up? I'm so glad to be here, talk some games. Thank you for the very kind introduction.
You're welcome.
He always hypes the guests up. He always hypes them up.
I gotta do it. Gotta do it. Before we get into the show, remember we are live every Thursday here on YouTube. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning on your favorite podcast service. While you're over there, please drop us a review, rating, whether that's Apple or Spotify. And while you're over there, please make sure to join our Discord. Well, not when you're over there, but please come join our Discord. If you want early access to all of our programming, head on over to our Patreon, and you can get the Patreon shout out like Bucky Blue, Hopple, and Alpaca Tom. Thank you so much for your support. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, guys, I want to start the podcast like we do every single week, and that's by going around the room and asking one simple question, and that question is, what you playing? So, Josh, I want to know, what have you been playing?
Oh, I actually don't play video games. I just talk about them.
Oh, yeah.
So
oh, you're a YouTube pundit.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I bought a game yesterday. I bought Fire Emblem Three Hopes on the Switch, but I've only played the demo. You guys will love this. Capcom sent me Monster Hunter Sunbreak.
Ooh.
I cannot figure out how to access the DLC. I think I don't know if like all Nintendo's website says and all Capcom's website says is complete this mission. I have it complete. So I'm like,
yikes.
I don't know. Maybe you have to complete the whole you might have to complete the whole page. No, I know it's me. I know it's me. So the page that includes the monster you're supposed to beat before you can, I have one missing. And it's this monkey that would always just wreck us every time we would try to fight this thing. So I don't know. So I've done a little bit of Monster Hunter, playing Turtles on my backbone via the cloud.
Nice.
And Mario Kart pretty much on the regular on TikTok and Twitch and stuff. So
cool.
That's kind of the majority of the games I've been playing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love Turtles. Great game. Have you beat Turtles yet, or are you still working through the game?
If you guys know anything about me, I don't ever beat any games. I just play just a small. No, I do plan on completing it. I'm a huge Turtles fan. Like, quick little side note about me: the first time I ever gamed all night long and watched the sun come up was playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on the NES. I was staying the night at a buddy's house. He had like this separate garage from the mobile home they lived in, and his parents would leave us alone with a fridge stocked with soda, and I just played through. It was one turtle after the other. I would just run through.
That
so I'm
sounds
a huge,
like a good time.
Oh, it's amazing. So I'm a huge Turtles fan. We'll definitely complete this one. I just talk about games a lot. I don't play, always creating.
Now, when Turtles came out, we had a poll, and it was determined from our audience that Michelangelo was the best turtle. Who is your favorite turtle?
For me, it's always a toss-up between Leonardo and Raphael.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. And I'll be honest, when I jumped into Turtles for the first time, I pretty much planned on playing Leo just because I figured he's got a little more range than Raph, not quite the range of Donnie, right? There's all that everybody's been talking about on Twitter, why you should pick Donnie first. But yeah, I went with Leo. Nightcrawler, the co-host from some of the different podcasts that we do, he was Raph, so that made that decision very easy for me. And yeah, I jumped in with Leo. Leo was also the first action figure I got as a kid. And that's that's a quick fun story. My mother did not want me having these action figures, and I had done some work for my grandmother, and this was we would do this every summer. I'd work for a little bit, then she'd take us to the toy store, and she'd buy us. And I was like, well, I need this turtle, and I'm going to open it in the car so that it can't be returned. And that began the collection of my turtles, which I still have a massive like Rubbermaid box full of my action figures. So yeah,
Shout out to
big Turtles
grandmas
fan.
all out there that buy things that your parents won't let you have.
Oh, for
Yes.
sure, man.
Yes.
Shout out.
Do you know how many Transformers my grandma bought my brother and I, and then we would just keep them in some giant case? And she's like, these are where my angel statues go. I'm like, these are where our Transformers go. What are you talking about, grandma?
Yes. Love it.
That's awesome. Ethan, what have you been playing?
So, this has been kind of an off week for me for playing games. I've been watching a lot of film. I've been watching a lot of TV shows, preparing for some stuff, and it's been a lot of fun. But anytime I do throw on the Xbox, I'm playing Fall Guys. I mean, it's Fall Guys week. Released last week. I mean, it's been so much fun. I got back into it. It recaptured me like it did a year ago on the PC. So I got my first crown 2 days ago. I've never gotten a crown before. Nice. I always get to the last, but I never get the crown. That's my MO with that game. So that's been a lot of fun. And then just more MLB The Show 22. Those are the games that I throw on a podcast, zonk out to, and just mindlessly play them. But yeah, not a lot of gaming this week, unfortunately.
Now, Ethan, I don't want to show you up because you already know what I'm about to say, all right?
Yeah, I know. I saw on Discord.
Yeah. So before the show, I was like, I'm going to hop into Fall Guys. I'm going to play some of this new Halo Spartan event. I won 3 out of the 4 games I played in the last 40 minutes.
You won a third one.
Yeah, won 3 out of 4. Very easy. Absolutely. This event is incredibly easy. The final round is always that dodgeball one where you grab the balls and they explode and you chuck them at each other. And it's duos. So like as long as my last game, me and my partner were the final 2, and we literally just sat there jumping up and down because we didn't want to like knock each other out. Yeah, I'm having a blast with Fall Guys still. Haven't seen any Master Chiefs. I've seen a few people on my Twitter timeline get the Master Chief skin, but I don't want to pay $10, I think it is, for these skins, even though they're kind of cute. That grunt one.
Can you unlock them through gameplay, though?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. You can unlock a purple Spartan helmet, I know, through gameplay.
With cat ears.
Oh, does it have cat ears?
Yeah.
No, not the cat ears.
Okay. I didn't see the cat ears, but you might have to buy the premium skins, which is unfortunate, I think.
Oh, well.
Other than that, I am actually playing a game that Josh just picked up, and that is Fire Emblem 3 Hopes. I am loving this game. This is the next step in the Muso formula. Like they need to keep iterating and evolving on what they've done right here, because it's so much more than just like a Warriors hack and slash game. They've added like elements from Fire Emblem 3 Houses, the cooking, the relationships, the chore system, like all those social elements they've brought over and really adapted them. There's a recruiting mechanic that you can do during missions. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm loving this game. I will say that there's a true ending that I didn't get because I didn't know about it until I'd already done something that made it so I couldn't get it. So I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I'm on my second playthrough, doing the Golden Deer the second time, did Black Eagles the first time. New Game Plus makes this game very quick. It took me about 32 hours to beat the Black Eagles run, and I think I'm like halfway through in about 6.
You maintain all your stats and stuff from the previous playthrough.
Yes. So I'm like level 60 blowing through these level 20s, and I'm like, you can't do anything to me. So and they also have a mechanic in this game where you can level up your other units you aren't using by just paying. So like if you get 20k, you're like, okay, you want to go to level 30? I'm going to get you to level 30. So it makes the game pretty easy, but phenomenal game. Definitely check that one out, Josh, when you get some time. I'm loving it.
Awesome.
One thing I did want to say before we move on is it's Kyle in the chat said, pretty sure you need to be Hunter rank 7.
It's true. That's what I am.
Okay, then the game hates you.
I've met all the requirements that I've been able to find thus far. So what makes me the most sad is it was like, yo, I could have a review out the day before the game launches. Like, let's do this, right? And nah, sad day. Sad day.
It's unfortunate. I'm not a Monster Hunter guy. I played Monster Hunter World a bit, but I haven't tried Rise. Which did you play World?
I played only about 20 minutes of World. I've been a huge Monster Hunter fan since the Wii U and the 3DS days. So Rise, I mean, World was great. Like, it was just in a time that I just didn't have time to pour. You know, I think I want to say there's a chance I was still like playing Destiny or something back then. So there was not much else was being played at that time. But Rise is probably one of the most accessible, just like World. And you get together with a handful of people, and it's you can't really have more fun gaming, honestly. Like, it's one of those games that you don't have to lean too far forward. You can kind of lean back and just kind of
no
chill
gamer
out.
stance with this one.
Yeah, no gamer stance. You can leave the Elite controller behind, and
I call it shrimping, because your body curls up like a shrimp.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can only go so long until your back starts to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one of my problems, because when I'm in here playing like the Xbox or the PlayStation, I got this nice chair, but my Switch is out in the living room because my girlfriend likes to play sometimes. So like we'll sit on the couch, and I always find myself in the shrimp position on the couch because I just can't lean back into it and play out there. It's a whole thing. Servant in the chat, thanks for stopping by, says, did you turn it off and turn it back on, Josh?
Good troubleshooting skills.
Yeah. Shout out to Servant and Nate. They're part of the Xbox Now podcast that's recently restarted. So
awesome. Happy to have you guys here. Well, I think that's all we have for playing. So why don't I grab this week's stories from the library? Story number 1 is, and this is a multi-part story. We got lots of Halo news to talk about. So if I could find my document here. The first part is 343 has been pretty vocal in the last week on a variety of topics regarding Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite. 8 years after the release of Master Chief Collection, 343 is currently exploring adding microtransactions they're calling Spartan points to the game to allow players to unlock gear and customizations that they previously missed. Items are currently unlocked with season points, and those would not be going away. They would just be adding microtransactions. So I want to stop there and get everyone's thoughts on that. I haven't touched Master Chief Collection since Halo Infinite came out, but what are your thoughts, Josh, I'm going to go to you first, on the possibility of them adding these microtransactions?
It seems to me the community's there, and so if they can squeeze a little extra out of it, it's fine. I think a lot of people's minds probably go to, why are we not just putting all of our efforts into Infinite, right? But we also can assume they're not the same teams. They're not the same people working on both of these games. And again, it feels, I mean, as long as it's done right and not super predatory, like, it's kind of cool watching those games evolve over time. And I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing new maps even within the Halo 2 anniversary. I think there was only 8, and those are gorgeous, and it's super fun to go back and play. So I can't say I've put a lot of time into it since Infinite came out, because I just really enjoy Infinite, and but I mean, I love going back to those old games. And at the same time, there's so many questions on why aren't we seeing more of these two games just kind of integrated together, like, just to make it feel like more of a complete package at this point, because Infinite just seems to be lacking in so many areas.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about extensively here about, there's so many missing features from Halo Infinite, and we'll talk about that more. But for me, and Ethan, I'll throw it to you after this, but the microtransactions, if they add them, I really don't think it's something that anyone needs to worry about. I saw some people like, oh great, they're trying to milk us for more money. But the fact that this is for previous items that people have missed, my only criticism is, like, maybe allow them to spend their season points also on items that they missed. I get it. They don't, that's a whole different messing with the economy thing. They want people to be actively playing and not just like hop in, spend season points, hop out. but it really goes back to like how they do it, and I think you were touching on that. Ethan, I'll throw it over to you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, as long as there's enough time separating the events to when they release stuff in the store, I don't see any issues with it. I mean, I'd actually like to see the sales numbers, because I would be really surprised if people don't already have everything from the Tenrai event unlocked. That would be pretty wild. But yeah, I'm not somebody that really interacts with this whole ecosystem of skin buying and stuff. So nothing really from me. I'm not worried about it. I hardly participate in the events anyways. And yeah, this is not going to get me back into Infinite.
This is Master Chief Collection we're talking about, but
they're doing it for just Master Chief Collection?
I didn't see them talking about doing it for. I mean, they already have a microtransaction ridden game in Halo Infinite, right? Like, so Master Chief Collection would be this, but Servant, I think, sums it up. I like optional microtransactions for things I missed and want now.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt anybody, And like Josh said, I mean, as long as it's not predatory, that's really the only baseline for it.
For sure. A little more exciting news. We can move. Well, I don't know, not exciting, but I saw some people going at the 343 developers because of a Melee desync issue where Melee attacks don't register online. The issue was brought to light on Reddit the other day, and as reported by Video Games Chronicle, Brian Berryhill, the community manager, 343, I believe his title is. I might be wrong about that, but he mentioned that the developers appreciate these issues being brought to light, but added the too long didn't read of it is the devs that would work on these fixes have been allocated to other Infinite work. Their work has had some knock-on effects to our UCN solution, especially around movers on object devices, but not around the Melee and around the wall shots. These devs are coming home to Sandbox soon. So this one I think is a little more frustrating to hear. This has been an issue since launch. And Josh, I want to throw it to you. I assume you've played the game. I assume you know what the Melee desync issue is about. You like it when you go to Melee someone, it doesn't register. You like hit them a few times, and then next thing you know, you die.
So I just assumed it was lag or whatever, right? Like not an actual bug in the game, but yeah, I'm so baffled by this. I mean, I host the Halo Infinite podcast, right? Like we ask these questions on the regular, like what is going on? What is like, did they really just bite off more than they can chew? Can they not fill enough positions? We talked about on the Xbox Factor podcast. Is it leadership that needs to get, like, do they need to clean house and get some people in that can actually lead and start directing this ship in a right direction? Like, because it's super strange to hear that they can't even work on this because that team is doing something else at the moment. Like, I don't really know what to say at this point.
I think that it's Kyle in the chat says, how can a team as huge as 343 need to allocate people like that? Just hire more people. This sounds like nothing but excuses. Which I don't want to go at 343, but like at a certain point, you do have to hold them accountable for not fixing things. And it's not like this is a brand new issue that was brought to light. This has been something people have been discussing since day one. Ethan, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I just think this is a side effect of still having to develop what I believe is core elements of the game while also running a live multiplayer service. I mean, if they had left this in the oven a little bit longer and they were able to come out with multiplayer campaign, with replayability on campaign missions, with Forge and stuff like that, you would have all these devs that have open time to be able to tackle these issues immediately when they come up. But, they're kind of still developing an entire video game here, on top of running the live service of the multiplayer. So this makes sense that things aren't being addressed as fast. And yeah, it is frustrating for the fan base. And, I think finally the whole adage of my hit didn't register is actually coming true. I think we can actually use as an excuse legitly now. But yeah, it is frustrating. It is sad. I didn't really notice it as much when I was playing. I don't know if this is a new issue or if it's been going on the entirety of Infinite.
They said they won.
Oh, well, yeah, but I guess I didn't play it enough to really recognize that. Like Josh said, I mean, it pretty much chalk it up to lag anytime something like that happens. But yeah, just disappointing to hear. Hopefully they get that stuff fixed soon.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's still a beta, so we're good.
It's still a beta. Yeah, they never took it out.
It's an early release.
We're good.
Early
We're good.
access.
Yeah, Nate in the chat said, "Remember when double melee was happening?" I do. It's incredibly frustrating.
I do remember that.
I mean, I don't really have much more to say. Hope it gets fixed soon. I think it is surprising that 343 is moving their teams around and not fixing core issues that have been there since day one. Like at this point in the lifespan, right? What we're 8-9 months out from launch. Like these things should have been addressed. The minor bug fixes like this are things that should have been caught. They were caught by your community, but you haven't gotten around to them. And the fact that your roadmap has been delayed, content isn't coming as soon as it needs to, it really just like, what are 343 doing over there? That's I don't want to like I'm not trying to come at them, but it does beg the question, like we're not getting anything. So what are they doing?
And you know what's so surprising is I remember leading up to launch and right after launch, the 343 team was so forthcoming and so communicative with the community online, and it just kind of seems like that whole culture of that has dropped off because they are having so many issues and they're getting so much negative feedback. We're not seeing that interaction as much as we did when the game first launched, and I think that's this point. I think that's them, trying to put out fires.
Very well could be. Very well could be. I mean, we do have some good news coming from 343, and this just came out before the show, and that's the campaign co-op flight network test is scheduled for the week of July 15th. The highlights include of this announcement, because I'm not going over the whole thing, that progression will be retained by all players. Redfall, I think you could take some notes there. Up to 4 players can play on any console or PC. It is launching alongside Mission Replay with new achievements for the game, and there is a 1,000 meter limit to how far players can be separated from each other in the open world area. Josh, throwing it back to you. You excited for campaign co-op? Is this going to get you back into the game?
It's exciting. It's also potentially a little disappointing that I felt like the picture I saw showed 4 Master Chiefs, right? From what I could tell. What happened to Locke? What happened to that whole fire team? And when are we going to get their story? I kind of hoped that there might be options to play other Spartans as we jump into co-op like this. And so it may be just a little bit bare bones. I mean, if you can go back to Halo 3, everybody played as, you either played as Chief or you played as an elite, right? There was some kind of team element to it. Yep. But then moving into 4, it was just you just all played as Chief. But then moving into 5, you had 2 different fire teams again. So it's good that it's finally happening. I know there's a lot of people that are very excited for it. Finding out there's more achievements that we can finally like go back and just pick the stages. Like that's much. I mean, that's very much needed when you couldn't go back to do. I don't know if you guys were trying to get any of the like.
I was the skulls. Yes. I missed 2 skulls at the start of the game, and I'm like, oh great, I have to restart.
I missed one banished log.
yeah at the beginning, right? And so you have to do that, and then if you want to go through and get that get the the achievement where you can use the tank gun or whatever, make it a little easier, right? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but just you had to start, everything was like start over again, and you're just like, what? This has never been an issue with Halo before. What is going on right now? So I'm again glad it's gonna be there. Glad I know of a number of people that have like, I haven't touched that campaign until co-op's available, because they're waiting to play it with their friends. That's how they've always done it. I mean, even for me, when my boys were younger, the moment I came home with a Halo game, we were playing co-op together. That couldn't happen on this one.
Yeah, it is that. I said this before launch. Halo co-op campaign has always been something I do with my brother, my friend. Like we group up, we play the Halo campaigns. We'll do it once on Heroic, and then we'll go to Legendary and suffer through that. But we couldn't do it this time. And my initial reaction was, okay, like what co-op campaign is going to take like a month, a few weeks? Like maybe I'll just hold off. And then they were like, we're aiming for the spring. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not holding off. And then the spring came and they're like, we're aiming for August. And I was like, oh, it's so frustrating trying to like wait for you, because I'm confident now that they're going to hit August, because they're doing the tests in July. And unless there's some major issues there, I think we will see both of these features in August, which is great. I think it's a little slow period coming up in July and August in terms of game releases. So it might give you the time to hop back into Halo Infinite. I'm certainly excited. I think everything they say here is great. Like I said, progress retained for the story from all 4 players, phenomenal. When I heard the news that Redfall wasn't doing that, I was like, oh my God, that's very disappointing. Mission replay, great. We can go back to get those achievements. I'm excited for the new achievements, because the way they were describing it was like use certain weapons, do like certain combos with your teammates. That'll be a lot of fun. I think that'll add a new dynamic. I would like to see, I would have liked to see, I should say, the ability to just go as far away from each other as possible and do different things in the open world. I get why they're not doing it. They want you to do the objectives together, but it still would have been cool to be like halfway across the map from each other, like do simultaneous of those small like FOBs or the outpost. That would have been cool. But this is all great news. I'm excited to hop back in. Ethan, what's your feeling on this?
Yeah, I'm nothing but excited. You know, as an achievement hunter, to hear that they're adding new achievements and I can go back and complete these collectathons, that excites me. There's so many skulls that I miss, because it's funny, when I originally played the game, I had forgotten that you can't go replay these missions. So I do what I do with every game, is I bust through the main storyline and then I'll go back and replay it to do all the achievements and stuff like that. So once I got like halfway through the campaign, and then I figured out, oh yeah, I can't replay these missions. I was really, really bummed out. So it'll be nice to be able to revisit some of those things. It's overdue. It's very long overdue, but I'm glad it's here. So, you know, I'm ready to jump back into it. It gives people an incentive to jump back into it, those new achievements. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that once you hit the 1,000 meters or whatever, that it just pulls all your team over to you, so I can just troll everybody. That's just trying. They're trying to complete an objective, beat a boss, and I'm like, nope, come hang out with me now.
From what it said in the blog post, at 800 meters, it's going to give you a warning that you're going too far. At 1,000 meters, it'll kill you. Now, I don't know if it only kills who isn't like the main person.
Kill?
Yeah, exactly. Like, who is the 1,000 meters based off? So like Josh doesn't tell any of his friends. He invites them into his game, and then they're off. He's like, hold on, guys, I'll be right back. Takes off sprinting the other way. And then suddenly,
I bet you it kills the person that's not the host. I bet you that's
how it works. I imagine it would. So all three or so of Josh's friends would be murdered, and he'd be laughing.
I like this.
Okay, good.
And now I remember a few months ago we were talking about all the different theories of who the multiplayer like characters would be, and we were talking about, are they going to be Master Chief clones? Are they going to be your multiplayer skins and whatnot? And I remember us reacting very negatively to that. Did you mention anything in the story about what the characters are going to be? Or
from the videos I've seen, it's just Master Chief clones. Like, they just look like Master Chief.
That's just so weird to me growing up on Halo. I mean, I don't know.
Listen, everyone knows I've always been the Arbiter in there. Like, that's what I want. I want the Arbiter as like at least number 2. Then after that, you fill it with Locke or whoever we want to make the 3 and 4. But the Arbiter to me should have been number 2. Like, I know, first of all, he needs a DLC for Infinite. Like, that needs to happen.
Yes.
He needs to come to the ring and we'll figure it out. But I don't know. Master Chief, 4 of them. It's whatever. I'll get over it. But
it would have been cool if they attached a DLC to the launch of co-op, and that's how they can justify bringing in the Arbiter. That would be sick. I mean, I would jump back in immediately if that was the case.
We're not getting DLC for this game until like 2024 at this rate.
I know. You know, just if everything went smoothly, I feel like this would have been the time that we would be getting DLC like 8-9 months out of launch, but.
The DLC, this is what I wanted. I wanted, like what Kyle was saying in the chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mentioning it alludes to Locke, you know, being dead or getting his ass handed to him. Like, well, I want to know that story. Like, let's finish it up. like that's great DLC right there. We also are all creating our own Spartans with real money that we're buying skins with. Let us take those into the campaign. Like bring some recruits along or something. Like, to just make it Master Chief clones, it's kind of
it feels lazy.
boggling.
It kind of feels lazy, and I'm not trying to call out the devs on that. I know it's very difficult to make video games, but I mean, you could have been a little bit more creative with this. You're the Halo team. This isn't some generic first-person shooter like Call of Duty, where you just spawn in as a random soldier.
It just also, like, if they made everyone Master Chief because, like, oh, you're playing through story, like, we wanted to make sense. Like, it's even 4 Master Chiefs doesn't make sense. You've already destroyed the whole premise. So, like, just let us be who we want. My Tenrai Samurai Spartan for multiplayer. Let me bring him in, look like I'm about to whip out my sword and start slashing these elites all up. But
could you imagine the Covenant's reaction to seeing 4 Master Chiefs barreling towards
it's Kyle Echoes. It's especially weird because you unlock skins in campaign that you use in multiplayer. Why not have it go both ways?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I saw you threw up Servant's message that said, I'm Mr. Steal Your BR.
Mr. Steal Your BR.
Listen, in our last community, every other Thursday, we do a Halo Infinite community game night. And so I'm notorious for not only taking the BR, but then running to the next closest one and making sure I get all the ammo from it as well. Okay. Well, last week or two weeks ago, when we did community game night, Nightcrawler, one of the co-hosts, he will lose it on me because I will take his all the time. I happened to just turn and see that, oh, he's near the BR. This is big team battle, by the way. So like, BRs are like, they're very coveted, right? And I see he's standing next to it, waiting for it to load. I just run over, hit X, and pull it right out from underneath him. And he picks up my commando and just screams because I stole his BR. And oh man, it is it is just one of the things that anytime we play Halo, no BR is safe if I am nearby.
Now I gotta ask, are you good with the BR? Are you popping off headshots every?
Okay,
of course.
Awesome.
Justified then.
Justified.
They will say they just follow me so they can pick it up as soon as I die. So but I know what's up. The chat's not gonna let this live. Just watch.
Now this story were you one of the people that you were like, oh, I see that Marine has a BR. It'd be a shame if I shot him in the head and grabbed all of it. Is that you in campaign?
Well, don't they give it to you without
they
having
can,
to...
but I mean,
I typically so being the not so great parent that I was, my son started playing Halo at the young age of 3 and would actually dominate my buddies. And well, we had to make a rule that he wouldn't shoot the Marines, otherwise it would teach him how to swear. So I think it goes all the way back to Halo 1 for me. I just don't shoot many Marines.
That's I forgot that they start swearing at you like, oh yeah, because
if you don't want to shoot the Marines, you get them to follow you and then go to the vehicle spawn point and just have a tank fall on them. That's the strat.
Oh my god, it's so. I bet if I go into Infinite right now and summon a vehicle at my fob, that the Marines are gonna stand underneath.
I'm gonna stand right here.
They literally lay down underneath the drop pad. And they're like, oh god, and then they get squished and then they start screaming. It's like, I'm like, you killed yourself. This was suicide. The last bit of Halo news we have is that there is a Fall Guys Halo crossover event. You can get a Fall Guy backpack in Master Chief Collection, I believe, and you can also get Halo skins, as we've discussed at the start of the show. In Fall Guys, there is a Spartan event where I think it's called Spartan Showdown. It's like 3 rounds. You get to grab balls in every game mode they've added to and chuck them, and they explode at people, kind of like grenades. Adds a little new element. It's a lot of fun. So
more custom games in Fall Guys than Halo Infinite.
more Halo content in Fall Guys than Halo Infinite. That's all fired. That's all for story number 1, though. We can go on to story number 2, which is about Bethesda's crunch culture and how it is apparently no more. According to Matt Booty, who recently spoke on the topic of labor conditions at Bethesda during a Q&A company-wide meeting. As reported by Kotaku a few weeks ago, there was a heavy degree of crunch during the making of Fallout 76, and Matt Booty was asked to address this report during the Q&A, stating, quote, "The challenge with a lot of these articles is that they look backwards, sometimes pretty far back in time." He goes on to say that crunch was, quote, "just part of the industry, but that I don't say that to justify it. I'm just saying it was part of the culture of the industry. I literally slept under my desk early in my career, and we looked at that as a badge of honor." He says those days are long gone under Xbox, saying, quote, "I know from talking to Bethesda leadership, we do not have a situation where people are crunching." Ethan, I'm going to throw it to you first for this one. Do you believe him? Because there was a lot of, crunch is highly criticized these days in the video game industry. Bethesda, Kotaku put out that report a few weeks ago, which I don't know. I don't think we discussed even, but what are your feelings right now? You think Matt Booty is doing some PR control here, or did Kotaku, get the story?
I think I believe him when it comes to this. I think we have been through nightmare scenarios the last few years in the gaming industry where most developers understand that even if you do crunch time, it doesn't help. We've seen Cyberpunk 2077 is the best example of this, where there was notorious crunch time and those employees were sleeping on their desks and stuff, and the game came out and it was still awful and broken. So, I think most developers have taken that into account and stopped doing it, especially now with Xbox being such in the spotlight, of the game industry by gobbling up all these, developers and stuff like that. They need to toe the line with actually treating their employees with respect, because if a scandal breaks out, that's a big deal to them. And I do want to point out that I'm glad Matt Booty said that that he's not trying to justify the behavior of the past by saying that's just what it was. I think that's a good thing. If he didn't say that, I would have criticized that, because it's like, I don't care if it was back then, it still was wrong. So I'm glad he did say that. And I'm just glad that this is, I'm not going to say it's not part of the industry anymore, because I'm sure it still is in some places, but I'm glad that it's happening less and less over time. So I do believe him when it comes to at least Bethesda. I think that studio respects its creators pretty well.
Josh, what are your feelings on this? Did you see these reports?
I did. Yeah. I mean, I always kind of wonder how much crunch is blown out of proportion to some extent, right? I don't like crunch at all. I mean, but I've also worked 96 hours a week, so like in doing physical labor in a refinery. So like, you can push yourself if you need to. That being said, when you have people like Sakurai and the Smash Bros series, like getting IVs put into his body because he's not resting enough, like we gotta pump the brakes, right? Like it has to, that kind of stuff has to stop. There's more than enough games right now that I don't know at this point why do we need crunch? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand, you gotta keep investors happy, you want to keep the consumer happy, all that kind of thing, but everybody loses in a cyberpunk situation. Nobody wins there. Nobody wins. So give the games the time they need to be put out, so that everybody likes them. I mean, what did we just get done talking about? Like, Infinite probably should have been delayed until it was ready. Like, I know that sentence sucks to say, but like, as somebody that loves that series and really wanted to see it shine, the lack of delays have now made that game forgettable. And very few people are talking about it, playing it, and even care to spend time with the battle pass and stuff, because it's just not, it's not ready. It was not ready, period. And so, I mean, the more we hear about crunch going away, the better, right? The better. But I do, like I said at the beginning, I do wonder about how, like, I feel like it can get a little bit blown out of proportion, where if like somebody's just working normal overtime, and they're calling it crunch, it's like, well, as long as they're getting paid for overtime, I mean, that's a normal thing, so.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely a difference between like hard work and crunch time, I think. And you know, I might catch some flack from this, but you know, the up thing about the consolidation of our industry, I know there's some downsides to it, but some of the upsides are these studios have more leeway to do delays and they don't have to force their developers to do crunch time like this. I mean, if you're an independent studio and you're running on fumes and loans and stuff, you got to get your game out. And so your devs have to work overtime and able to pump out a game. When you're Bethesda and you got Microsoft backing you, there's no reason to put your employees in a crunch. You have time. You can delay Starfield until next year and you'll be okay. You know, you'll have the money to be able to continue development. So, you know, consolidation of the industry, there are some issues with it, but this is one of the good things that I think, you know, comes out of it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about crunch a few times at numerous studios over the course of this podcast, but I think I'm more falling closer to where Josh is, where it's like, at what point are we just blowing up, like working any additional hours, right? Like, what I would like to see more definitions of, well, what do you mean by crunch at this studio, right? Are they working 90 hours and sleeping at their desk a week? Like, yeah, nobody should be sleeping under their desk, like Matt Booty says. But if they're just like, oh, I worked 55 hours and got paid overtime this week as opposed to my normal 40, like, it's completely different scenarios. The conditions matter, the payment matters, every context matters is what I'm getting at. And I feel like a lot of articles we're seeing don't have the context for what the crunch actually is. We need more details, but you don't get a lot of these details. And I think we've seen some studios kind of push back on it, like Naughty Dog, I would say. There was an article a few years ago, I think Jason Schreier did that one, about how Naughty Dog had crunch. And now when they're asked about crunch, they don't flat out say there's never going to be crunch. They very much are like, we tried our best to avoid it and manage projects, but like they recognize that, you know, sometimes they might have to work overtime to meet deadlines. It's really misinterpreted about what crunch is. I think it's crunch to me is abusing your staff.
Yeah.
And if that's not happening, you're just working more hours. That's not crunch to me.
Yeah, and I bet you there's a lot of employees out there that if you ask them, do you want your company to implement a strict 40-hour work policy where they tell you have to stop and go home? A lot of employees would tell you, no, I'd like to have the opportunity to make some extra money in overtime, one, and work on projects that I'm on a roll right now. I want to get this project done. I'm enjoying my job. I'm enjoying my work. So especially in the game industry where this is such an artistic, job for these game developers and these artists and stuff, some of these people want to just keep working on their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so let's see what the chat's saying about this. Servant says, why is crunch so bad? I'm a credit union CEO. I know twice a year I'll be working 70 plus hours in a week. So, like I said, that going in, though. You can contextualize that is just for that certain amount of time, and you're getting paid for it, I assume. Might be salary, but it could be factored into your salary. Again, conditions matter. Cheveruni says, yeah, I would say most industries have crunch. I hate delays, but I don't want to see people being punished because of poor timeline decisions. And then Nate says, I think crunch gets misinterpreted and blown out of proportion. Sometimes deadlines need to be met. It shouldn't be a consistent thing. Seems like everyone's backing us in the chat, guys, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
So I will say that I don't think there's crunch currently going on because we see Xbox's willingness to delay things like Starfield, like Redfall.
A lot of things.
if there was widespread crunch, I guarantee you they would have been like, you're getting Starfield out this holiday.
Yeah. And there'd be 100 articles right now saying that Bethesda has crunch time out on games journalism. So
why would they delay the biggest game they've had in a decade if there was crunch going on? Like if they're still over there working 100 hours to get a delay, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Anything else to add before we move on to our final story, guys?
No, sir.
All right. This one is interesting. So Blizzard has actually said they're going to acquire Proletariat, which, if you don't know, is the studio behind the Battle Royale Spellbreak. This acquired studio will work on the World of Warcraft expansions, and as announced earlier in this week, Spellbreak servers are already scheduled to be taken offline. Blizzard itself is currently in the process of being acquired by Microsoft, meaning one more team will be joining the Xbox Game Studio family when this deal closes. So, Josh, throwing it to you. Have you played Spellbreak? What do you think about Blizzard buying a studio while they themselves are being acquired?
Did anybody play Spellbreak?
Probably not. That's why the servers are closing down, right?
I mean, to me, it seems like that this is the future, right? Like battle royales, games as a service. This is the way things are going. It only makes sense to see. I mean, put the team behind Spellbreak on a World of Warcraft BR of some kind, and now you've got that brand power behind a new game. I mean, look what Minecraft is doing. You know, we've got dungeons, we've got the new game coming out as well, right? Like just expanding upon that brand into different genres. You know, and what does this mean exactly? Like, are they only going to be working on the expansion, or is there something else in the works? We know Overwatch just is going free to play with the second game, and with it being we're slowly getting to that point to where like the $60 like one and done kind of game it's not. I mean, there are certain games that will rise to the top. Elden Ring, right? Like it shines. It's glorious. But look at the money Fortnite's making, right? Look at the money Warzone's making, and World of Warcraft has been. It's been one of those brands that's kind of been, I would say, somewhat going downhill over the years as far as the amount of subscribers and people still playing it. But you get a team that is hungry and has some good ideas and is going to do what they can to breathe new life into a brand that does have that reach. I mean, let's go. And then it eventually ends up in the Xbox, running on Xbox potentially, or at least on Game Pass. Let's go. It's a good thing.
Ethan, you wanna jump in here?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about Spellbreak when it first came out. It made a tiny little splash, and I know there were still a few people playing it, but it wasn't a big community or anything like that. So I'm sure these devs, that's a good opportunity for them to go work on arguably the greatest MMO of all time. I mean, I think that's a great opportunity for any dev. And then, like Josh said, I mean, knowing one day you're going to be under the umbrella of Microsoft, that excites a lot of developers too, because you got that big money backing, and you can throw your games on Game Pass and get it more exposure than you ever could have before. So just good opportunity for this team. Welcome to Blizzard. Welcome to Xbox.
Welcome to Xbox. Yeah, it was about a few months off from that, but
it's gonna happen. Come on.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident the deal's going through, but so Spellbreak obviously wasn't the success that this team clearly thought it would be, right? I remember people jumping into it. I think your first match was against bots, but it became very clear that most of your matches were going to be against bots from people playing. It never really caught fire. I think it had some interesting ideas, like the fact that you were using magic instead of guns and stuff, like the typical battle royales. I don't know what the future holds for this team, if they're even going to be considered proletariat after they're acquired, because we've seen, and we talked about this last week, Blizzard's disregard for the studios they currently do have. Look at Vicarious Visions, and like what I was saying last week, they stripped Vicarious Visions of their name, made them Blizzard Albany, and now they're just a Diablo support studio. It would not surprise me at all if proletariat just became Blizzard East or wherever they're located, right? And just we're a World of Warcraft support studio. Yes, Xbox gets them, and then that's one more studio to help with an Xbox IP because they've acquired it, but it doesn't really benefit Xbox in any way in the long run unless they restructure everything, which again, we'll have to wait and see. But for the team this small, it might just be like you're going to be a support team now, and that could be fine for lots of developers. They, like you said, they would love to work on these big IPs like Call of Duty, like World of Warcraft. That's something that they probably never thought they would be able to do at their studio, right? Like if they stayed at Proletariat, they were probably going to just be like, we're trying to make indie games, we're trying to make something that like blows up and gets us that recognition. So if more funding, more recognition is possible, great. I think you take that chance, and this might have, we don't know their financials, might have saved the studio. There's a whole list of different perspectives to take on this acquisition. My big thing is like, okay, it's another studio, but I'm not like, oh my god, Xbox has 35 game studios now. Like, look how good Proletariat is. I'm not gonna be like, we got Proletariat compared to Naughty Dog. Like, it's just, it's not something to get super excited for, in my opinion. Any closing comments before we get into our little fun topic here?
I think we're good to go.
I'm ready for some fun. Let's do it.
All right. Well, slow news week, in case you couldn't tell. So we thought it would be a good time to do a midway check-in point. And we don't have our other panel member here, but we got the next best thing, maybe the better thing, in N64Josh here.
No, don't say that. I don't. Wait a minute.
No, it's fine. It's my co-host. My co-host knows what I'm talking about here. So we're gonna go over our current top 3 games for the first half of 2022. See where everyone's standing in this game of the year discussion. How everything's shaping up. So, Josh, I wanna throw it to you first. What is your number 3 for 2022 so far?
Let's go. I mean, I don't have to have completed this game, right?
No. You don't have to complete. No.
Okay. I will start out with probably, nobody's gonna believe I'm gonna say this, but probably Pokemon Arceus.
Ooh,
I believe it.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think someone on this panel will believe it, because I think it's on his list as well.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it changed up the formula of Pokemon, right? And felt like it matured the series quite a bit. A little bit grindy, little more grindy than I would probably prefer. Every time I go back to it right now, I'm like, I still need to get like 13,000 points. How many Pokemon do I have to catch for this? You know, like, but yeah, like it will take the number 3 spot for sure. It's probably one of the games I've spent the most time in this year.
Mm-hmm. I think, before I let Ethan go, because he's gonna sing its praises, but the fact that I liked Pokemon Arceus, don't get me wrong, I don't think it was perfect. I don't think they nailed the like report system. The fact that I had to catch the same Pokemon like 15 times over and over again, like that really was a downfall for me. I know other people love that kind of stuff, having those types of objectives. I think it was a good step in the Pokemon formula. It just fell short of where I hope Pokemon can go. Now, Ethan, please, you can go and sing all its praises, because I know you have this on your list.
Yeah, you know, while not a perfect game, Arceus really captured me. I mean, this is the most hours I put into a Pokemon game since I was a kid playing on the Game Boy Advanced. You know, it really brought me back, and I think it did that for a lot of Pokemon fans that were getting a little tired of the normal Pokemon game. So, and it looks like going forward, this is going to be a formula that they use, and they're only going to get better with it. And hopefully they take some of the feedback that they got from Arceus and implement that into, what is it, Violet and Scarlet? That's the next 2. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see where the future goes for the Pokemon series. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. Honestly, when I saw Pokemon's Legend Arceus, I was really skeptical. I said, what is this going to be? This looks really weird, but it really knocked it out of the park for me. And I was really excited to see that they're actually trying new things.
I just hope they keep trying new things, like Scarlet. The trailers, they made it seem like you can have like 4 people in a world together and each go off and do your own things. Whether that's actually what's going to happen, or it's just going to be another open the wild area from Sword and Shield, and you're like, yeah, it's kind of playing with your friend, but not really. I think there's promise there. We'll see what happens. I know we got some people in the chat. It's Kyle says, I maxed out all the experience and completed the Pokedex and got a decent amount of shinies before transferring them all to Pokemon Home.
It's wild. That's a lot of time.
I can never be me. I get the fat Pokemon, make my team, and then I'm set. So
Got to get the Snorlax.
Oh yeah, love Snorlax, Lickitung, love all those giant chunky Pokemon. That's what I'm about. Ethan, since you just gave yours, I'll give my number 3, and that is a game called Monarch. It's available on Switch and PlayStation. It's a JRPG, kind in the vein of Persona, where you are school kids fighting demons, little social links going on. This game, I loved the story. I loved the different take on it is turn-based, but it's not traditional turn-based. It's more of like a move to like you have an area of effect, and if you can attack enemies inside that area of effect. So I really love this game. I think it's fantastic. I got the platinum. It does require an obscene amount of grinding, though. If you have to be okay with doing the same mission for like 20 hours in a row. If you're not okay with seeing the same layout 20 hours in a row, this probably ain't for you, because you're going to have to grind just to progress through the story. You're going to have to do some grinding for a few hours. So it's very old school in that nature, but I don't know. I loved it. It really appealed to me. It's on sale now, I think, if anyone wants to go check it out. If that sounded like a great time, like, oh man, I get to grind the same mission for 20 hours, sign me up. Go pick it up. I think it's like $40, but yeah, Monarch is my number 3 for sure. Josh, you're laughing. That doesn't sound like fun to you?
With the amount of time I have to play, no.
Okay.
No. So are you ready for number 2?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay. So Kirby.
Ooh, good choice.
I'm actually joking, but I trolled my co-hosts on the Nintendo Powercast because they were like, how's everybody doing? I'm like, oh, I'm 100% of the game. I Googled Kirby 100%, grabbed the first photo I could, posted it in the Discord, and yeah, now nobody believes me whenever I say I finished a game. So
wow, okay.
Yeah.
So Kirby isn't your number 2?
Kirby this is what I'm going to try to say. Can I say DLC?
Yeah, sure.
The Mario Kart 8 tracks, does that count as my?
Yeah,
because I'm still putting more time into Mario Kart than anything else. So I know it's only 8 tracks. I know they weren't like super well received due to the lack of textures and what seemed like a little bit lazy development, but it brought life into my favorite game, and so I got to go with the Mario Kart 8 DLC for me.
There's more to come. Lots more to come, right? They
Yeah.
still haven't released all the...
Yeah, 40 more tracks on the way.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's some good ones in there. Yeah,
someday. If we ever get a real direct, maybe we'll find out, you know.
Is I forget, is DK Jungle in that one?
There's DK Jungle. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just make it that. I used to love that one. Double Dash was my favorite Mario Kart. I've kind of fallen off since then.
I don't.
What's the DK where you shoot out of a cannon?
That's from Double Dash. Yes, that one's not in. That one's not in 8, but there is a DK track that is very well done.
I want the cannon. Give me the cannon.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a couple tracks with the cannons on 8 Deluxe. A couple. Cloud Top Cruise. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember Mario Kart days. That's cool. Anything that keeps you playing. Ethan, what's your number 2?
Well, number 2 was Arceus, so I guess I'll go back and do my number 3 real quick, and that's Kraken Academy. I'm going to give some love to indie studios. This was an ID at Xbox project, and they knocked it out of the park with this. It's a kind of like a time loop game where you're this character that gets thrown to this like private academy, and they have 4 different sub schools, and you got to go into each school and rescue the spirit of that school to defeat some evil entity that's trying to destroy the whole area. It was just so well done. It's probably my favorite time loop game I've ever played. When this came to Game Pass, I downloaded it on a whim because, you know, I'm the type of person that just downloads everything and tries it once. This was one of those games that just captured me, and it was so exciting to play through. I 100%ed it. Probably put in 20 something hours, which is way more than is required for this game, but I absolutely loved it. So I wanted to give some love to those indie studios out there, you know, doing really good work over at Xbox and putting their games on Game Pass.
I haven't played that one. That was one that, like,
It's so good.
I saw a lot of praise. I saw you talking about it. I saw Kyle Stevenson over from the Trophy Room. I think
Yeah.
him and them were talking about it a lot. It was just one that, like, something about it was like, I don't really know. And I think I was playing Monarch, grinding the same stage.
It was when you were playing Monarch.
Yeah, I was grinding that same stage for the 30th hour, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play another game with school children. Really, you know, that was kind of where I'm at.
Fair enough.
High praise all around from everything I've heard. And Kyle corrects me in the chat, says it's a DK Mountain is the one I'm thinking.
DK
of,
Mountain,
not DK Jungle.
Gotcha.
Shows me how far gone I am. Nate says, you're going through all the releases I've played. Definitely Shredder's Revenge is probably game of the year so far.
That's gonna be on a lot of people's lists. I feel like that was a good game.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I haven't played it since I blew through it in that 2.5 hours with my friend and brother. So it's downloaded. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point and replay it. But like, there's just so many things to play. You know, it's hard. Like, I already beat the story. Anyway, my number 2, another game that I got the 100% on. Nobody Saves the World. I adore this game. This is the best co-op experience I've had all year, and one of the best gaming experiences I've had all year. The story is funny, charming. All the powers are amazing. The gameplay loop is addictive and fun. Completing those class-based challenges. The dungeons are super interesting. Like, it's not super like, oh my god, this is the best like story ever told in an RPG, but it's just really, it's Drinkbox's best game for me. Like, I know people like Guacamelee and stuff, but this game really took their studio to another level for me. It was on Game Pass. It's on everything else now for like $20. You should definitely play this game if you haven't. And definitely, if you have the ability, play it co-op. I think that really enhances the experience.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might get stuck like feeling a little. I think you and Garrett on the podcast were saying, well, it's like playing solo, you kind of get bogged down and feel like you have to grind at a certain point,
it turns into a slog when you're playing solo.
Yeah, so definitely play it co-op if that's something you're able to do, but I highly recommend it. You want to hit us with your current game of the year there, Josh?
Yeah, it's crazy because today's kind of a big day for games, right? Because I know Sunbreak is going to be up there on that list for me once I figure out how to get into the game. And we also got the Delicious Last Course.
Oh yeah,
right. That's going to be up there. The Horizon DLC with a track builder. I mean, that could be insane. It could be insane. But for me, I got to go with Shredder's Revenge.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. It's there's just so much nostalgia wrapped into that series, and the more time I've spent with it, and like, I was surprised at how long the tutorial was. It was like 22 different moves to do in that game, and like doing some of the counters and being able to roll out of the way and stuff. I'm like, there's actually a little more depth to this than I anticipated, but also really welcomed. And you know, it breaks my heart that I'm not saying like Mario Strikers Battle League, because that should have been phenomenal.
Me too, man.
Yet, you know, here we are. Now, another game that I've had a lot of fun with, that'll be I'll throw it as a runner-up, would be MLB The Show, because I go on vacation and I'm with my dad, and he's like, yo, we doing home run derby? Like, I bought it on the Switch just so that I didn't have to pack an Xbox with me. And yeah, because the last year I brought the Xbox and we did the home run derby. So this year he's like, you know, you got any more of that home run derby? I'm like, yeah, we got.
Trying to play as Aaron Judge out here and win the home run. Let's do it.
Yeah. We have a great time. And this goes all the way back to the NES days of playing baseball and RBI baseball, and the black box baseball, and then even like Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on the SNES, that kind of thing. Like we've been gaming for, I mean, my whole life. And so to be able to still play a baseball game with him and then have it on the Switch, even, like, even though it looks like crap, it's still it's still fun to be able to jump in
Just
with
playing
him,
retro mode, it'll seem more natural.
Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. If I can't speak to MLB The Show, it's not my type of game. But Shredder's Revenge, one thing I think you were mentioning is how it has that depth, but also if you just want to go in and like button mash, and it's very approachable. Because I did not look at the tutorial at all. Like I literally just partied up with people. I was like, all right, what are the controls? Like this is how you jump. X is the attack. Like Y does this special attack over here. Great, got it. Let's go. But there are those like combo trees that like you can go and do if you want the deeper immersion. But for me, I was like, I suck at these brawler type games. I'm gonna just, why can't you move faster up and down? Like it's a whole thing. Like, did the arcade not possess that ability? You could only go.
They needed those quarters, baby.
Needed the quarters. That's right.
Yeah.
So, it's a fantastic game. I highly recommend that. Obviously, I don't know anyone that said a single bad word about that game. If you know who they are, send them my way because I want to know what the problem with the game is.
It's a them problem.
It's them. Yeah,
Exactly.
they're the problem.
Yeah.
Ethan, what's your number one?
Number one, somebody had to say it. It's Elden Ring. From Software did it again. And they did it while completely changing the formula for how their games work and going into an open world. And they were still able to maintain the challenge of a From Software game and the depth of their lore and the mystery of the world that they've created. And I mean, it's just so fantastic. It was a very special game to me. I'm actually not the biggest FromSoft fan. I've hardly ever played their games. I played a bit of Dark Souls 3. I jumped into Sekiro once or twice, but this game just captured me. And I remember I played it so much when it first came out. I put probably about 60 hours into it that first week. I was getting tennis elbow. My fingers were cramping up. I had to stop playing games for like a couple days because it was starting to hurt so much grinding in this game and fighting bosses and just traveling around the map and discovering things. No matter what your personal favorite game is of the year, I think everyone can recognize this is probably going to end up being the game of the year at the awards show. FromSoft has won them before with games much smaller and not as good as this. And we're talking about Sekiro here back in 2019. They won the award. This is probably most likely going to be the game of the year for the industry. But yeah, Elden Ring, very special game, really changed up how From Software does business. And, it just got me so excited for whatever project they decide to put out in the future. So Elden Ring's got to be up there. And then I do want to quickly do some honorable mentions like Josh did. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Best Lego game I've ever played in my life. It was so much fun. There's so much content in it. And also I'm just a huge Star Wars nerd. I love Star Wars. So, that whole story captured me, and being able to play through all 9 movies, I could have done without the last 3, but whatever. To be able to play through all 9 movies and get that story in Lego form was so much fun. MLB The Show 22. I mean, blast of a game. I still play it almost every day, jump in, play a few games on franchise mode, work on my player for Road to the Show. It's the best baseball simulator out there. Some issues with base running, but that's really the only fault I have for it. But absolute wonderful game. I'm so happy they've started putting them on Game Pass. And then Tiny Tina's Wonderland. God, Gearbox, I just love them. Borderlands is amazing. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, it's a little bite-sized adventure from that team, and it just hits. It's so much fun. There's less guns in it than usual. They have a lot more, melee weapons that you can choose from and stuff like that. And they just knocked it out of the park with that game. It's just pure fun.
Well, I haven't played Elden Ring, and I'm not going to play Elden
You're not
Ring.
going to play it, yeah.
I'm not going to play it.
Fair enough.
That's a whole thing that I just can't commit to, really. I played Tiny Tina's that you've mentioned. The other ones, not for me at all. What is for me though? I'm gonna say my honorable mention first because Servant in the chat said it. Triangle Strategy. What a game that is. Phenomenal strategy JRPG. Multiple routes. Beautiful 2D HD artwork. Absolutely amazing. But My current game of the year, guys, and Ethan, I've warned you for 2 weeks now that the game was hitting and it was hitting good.
You're making me want to get it. Yeah.
Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes is my current game of the year. This game is so good. Fire Emblem 3 Houses is already like my favorite single player Switch game of all time. I think that it is the like must play of the Switch console. I put like 600 hours into it, multiple playthroughs, did maddening. This is like, oh, here's all the characters you love again, like more little stories with them. I can't believe how good a Warriors game actually is. It blew me away. I'm genuinely stunned. So I hope people go and play that. And before we go, guys, we might have some breaking news here. Let me just pull up this tweet.
This doesn't happen often.
It's from Benji Sales over on Twitter. If you're not familiar with Benji, great dude. He says the Communications Workers of America, the largest communications and media labor union in the U.S., has officially backed Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The CWA has sent a letter of full support for the acquisition to the FTC leadership. For anyone wondering, yes, this is a pretty big step for helping Microsoft get the acquisition finalized. Not a done deal yet, but certainly a major piece of support for their side. It's awesome.
Yeah. Once you have support from the unions, it's pretty much a shoe-in. Things are going to work out.
Especially Activision Blizzard, where they have not been very kind to unions or their workers. So that's huge news. Josh, thanks for linking that. Do you have anything you want to say about that before we wrap up here?
Oh, I mean, I think it's exciting. You know, this is going to be huge plays for Xbox. It's going to be huge plays for Game Pass, and it's just going to keep adding to the overall value of Game Pass. And I mean, I'm in the camp that I would really love to see Game Pass everywhere. I would love to see it. I would love to see it on the Switch. I would love to see it on the PlayStation, and just really see it available to anybody and everybody, because we all benefit. We can all play together, you know, like that's so. And we're already seeing it on the TVs, you know, like
out today,
out today. So it's really exciting stuff. And to hopefully see, you know, a lot of the wrongs that have been done by Activision Blizzard and some of the garbage that's come out in the news, you know, over the past couple of years of just misconduct and just garbage practices, to have a lot of that stuff done away, and really just get to the point to where we have these studios putting out the quality games that we know and love, and and hopefully taking things to the next level, like with that Xbox money, that Microsoft money.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think I'm sure every Xbox on the planet has touched on the Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard deal, but it's exciting that the more closer we get to it, the closer the reality of like we're going to have so many new IPs available on Game Pass, available to more people than ever, with the cloud, with the new TV deal app for people that have Samsung TVs. Like if you don't have a console, you're soon going to be able to play like hundreds of games through your television. It's crazy. The future we're moving into right now. It's just exciting. So that's why it's one of the reasons when I go on Twitter and I see so much negativity and toxicity about like certain things or certain games coming to subscription services, people buying certain studios. I'm just like, if more people get the games, that's really the end goal here. Like I don't own Microsoft. I don't care what they do with their money. Like if it benefits the consumer, that's what I'm at the end of the day. And I think Nate he asked a question in the chat. He wants to know, now, will that decrease sales for Modern Warfare 2 on Xbox? Wonder how that will work. I don't think the deal will be done by the time Modern Warfare 2 comes out, so you're probably still going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
If you don't pay for it and just wait for Game Pass, that's an option. That certainly, I'm sure some people have that mindset, but I don't know if COD is going to be affected much by that. It's COD.
Yeah, they'll make money. They'll make a lot of money.
Anything else before we wrap up, gentlemen?
Nope. Good to go.
Right. Well, Josh, I want to thank you once again for coming. I hope you had a good time. You are welcome back here anytime, my friend. And could you please let everyone know where they can find you, all the stuff you have going on, your podcasts, your streams, and anything you want to promote? Please plug away.
That would take another hour and 15 minutes, probably.
Let's do
So, no, but you guys can find me everywhere at N64Josh. All the socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Farmers Only, all the places. I've got to get the Farmers Only in there always.
Hell yeah.
I host a number of podcasts: the Xbox Now podcast, the Halo Infinite podcast, Nintendo Powercast, the Smash Bros cast. I'm on a Star Wars podcast, which is the Bendu podcast. We've got some new things in the works. I'm doing daily videos on YouTube, moving that direction. I'm also going to start coaching content creators. So if anybody's interested in something like that, please hit me up just to kind of help people take their stuff to the next level. So yeah, but again, anywhere it's N64Josh, and I'm always down to chat.
It's awesome. Everyone, make sure you're going over there and checking out all of his content.
And you're busy.
Yeah, very busy. I thought we were busy with the, but we ain't busy. This man's busy over there, but it's paying off. That's why
Gotta hustle, baby. Gotta hustle.
Gotta hustle. Well, I know I found you through Booms and then Sean Capri. Obviously, you were on We the Gamercast, so I was like, I gotta reach out to Josh.
So glad you did.
Really cool guy. So I'm glad we could connect. And like I said, welcome back anytime. Ethan, where can people find you?
They can find me at White Cedar 1 on Twitter and Gravy3448 on Xbox.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon. It's a 1-7I and 0-7A. Follow us at Project XTalk. And before we go, I want to make sure everyone knows Tuesday, July 5th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, noon. We have a very big special announcement on our channel dropping. You don't want to miss it. Things are going to change around here. So please stay tuned for that. But until next week, we will see you.